Right now, we're going to talk about sticking point analysis. So firstly, what is sticking point analysis? Sticking point analysis is understanding that you need to find out what your sticking points are and analyze them so that you keep improving and you don't stay at the same point in the same plateau forever. Okay, because a sticking point is something that's stopping you from getting better. It's something that's directly in your way to getting more consistent results. That's what a sticking point is. So you continuously, in your journey with game, in your journey with success with women, you want to continuously find out what are these so-called sticking points. Because imagine if I told you, if you stop doing this very one specific thing, then you would get better, you would get results. But the problem is, how do you find out for yourself what your sticking points are? Okay, how do you even know what your sticking points are? And that's what we're going to get into. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to go out, okay, minimum 10 nights. And this doesn't have to be 10 nights in a row. This can be 10 nights over 2 weeks, 10 nights over 3 weeks, whatever it is. You go out for 10 gaming sessions. This could be day game, it could be night game, okay? And then you debrief. Okay, what is debriefing? We have discussed that. It's basically you analyzing your night out. So at the end of every session, you use the field report template, which is in the introduction. And you use that field report template, you're writing out all your debriefs. What did you do well? What did you do badly? What could you have improved? You're writing it out as much detail as you can. Okay, you're doing this for 10 sessions in a row, 10 gaming sessions. And then this is where sticking point analysis comes in. Because what you do now is you go back and now you look at your previous 10 sessions. Okay? You look at your previous 10 sessions and now you're analyzing the debriefs. You're analyzing if you will, the breakdowns, the template, the field report template breakdowns. You're analyzing what you wrote down and you're looking for a pattern. What are you looking for? You're looking for, okay, night one, I struggled with attraction, according to my debrief. Second night, I struggled with qualification. Third night, I couldn't really get a girl to like me. Fourth night, I struggled with, she was interested, she just wasn't attracted. Okay, maybe the fifth night, she was a little bit interested, she just wasn't emotional. Okay, she was very logical. Sixth night, I felt that she was bored. Okay, let's say you're doing this for 10 nights and then you start to see, okay, what is the pattern here? I've gone through all the 10 nights. What's the pattern? The pattern is that there's something along the lines of attraction that I'm doing wrong. Okay, there's something there. Because out of all the 10 nights, I'm seeing that these girls are getting bored by me. Sometimes it's too logical. Sometimes they're not emotional. Sometimes they're not engaged. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure. But my best guess, my best estimate is that it's an attraction issue. Okay, I'm using that based on the evidence that I've got in front of me. Okay, it's my best guess, my best decision. Now what do? I go back and I watch the theory videos in Surgical Method only to do with that specific sticking point, okay, which is attraction. I watch everything to do with attraction. And then from the theory videos, I give myself a specific brief, which is, it could be as simple as go out for the next 10 nights and just work on attraction. Take every specific technique that Gabriel discusses in attraction, and one by one, maybe the first night you say, let me work on cold read, second night push-pull, third night DHV stories, whatever it is. But now I've got a game plan, okay? Because now for the next 10 nights, I'm directly going to work on my sticking points. And then what do? You've done that for 10 nights. Maybe you've got better, maybe you've got a little bit better and you want to do it for another 10 nights. That's fine. After that, you have another 10 nights where you go out. You maybe are practicing all different types of things. Hopefully your attraction's gotten better. And then you do the same thing. You look for the pattern. What's been happening over these last 10 nights? Okay, I'm noticing a different sticking point. Let me go back and watch the theory. Okay, once I've watched the theory, let me give myself specific briefs. or use the briefs or the exercises that Gabriel talks about. Okay? Then you go do that for another 10 nights. This is how you blast through a sticking point. Okay? This is exactly how you do it. And the thing is that you need to watch out for is oftentimes you won't want to do this. Why? Because it's more fun to go out and to focus on your strengths. It's more fun to go out and focus on what you're already good at. It's not as fun to say, let me work on the things that I'm bad at. Why? Because you're not going to get the same amount of results. Your results will, in the short term, they will decrease. They will take a dip. Why? Because you're focusing on your sticking points. But longer term, you will get way, way better results than if you only focused on your strengths before. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Short term, by focusing on your weaknesses, your results go down. Long term, your results will be way higher than they would have ever been. And this is what lots of students and lots of guys just won't do. They're not willing to focus on their sticking points. Now, again, not all of this is so-called fun type of work. You actually have to sit down. You have to do the debriefs. You have to do the sticking point analysis. You have to go back and watch the theory videos. You have to give yourself briefs for the next 10 nights. And that's the process. But ultimately, we're not just doing this because we hardcore gamers or we hardcore just want to get better. No, we're doing this because it's directly going to result in us being better. Okay, it's directly going to result in us being better. We're going to get more results. We're going to give women more amazing experiences. We're not going to make them uncomfortable, freak them out. We're not going to do the wrong things around them. We're going to give them the most amazing experience because our game's getting better. Okay? So that's why it's important to understand this when it comes to sticking points. And what do I see that happens a lot? Lots of guys, they will go out for years and they have the same sticking point. Most people have the same sticking point pretty much their entire journey. They've just never worked on it. Maybe they've worked on it 1%. They've put a little bit of thought into it, but they've never really taken the time to say, hold on, let's blast through this sticking point. Okay? People just don't do it. They don't have the willpower, they don't have the commitment, but now you know exactly how to do it. Okay? And it really is crazy. Sometimes, so I'll do a lot of traveling and I will meet guys. I meet guys, let's say, I met guys 4 years ago and I would meet them again a year later or 2 years later. And I see that they're working through this. They have the same sticking points. They're not even working through it. They've got the exact same sticking points in their game. Okay? This shouldn't be happening. And what happens, and this is what you want to catch yourself doing, is they will rationalize. They will say, well, this is the reason I haven't been working on it. Or, yes, I still have that issue, but it's okay because of this, this, and this. They have to rationalize it, because what's the alternative? To admit that you're not doing things right. To admit that you're doing things correctly. And no one wants to admit that, because it takes a big hit on your ego. Okay? So one of the reasons that I got really good, okay, really, really good with women is that, and specifically with cold approach pickup, the reason I got really good is because I would never, ever not do this. Okay? For me, I didn't understand that there was an alternative. Okay? I didn't understand that. I didn't know that there was actually an alternative on not doing this. Okay? I didn't realize that. It's just like if you, let's take something else. If you go to the gym, okay, you pretty much have to go there, you have to get dressed, you have to walk to the gym or drive to the gym. There's no alternative. Okay? There's nothing to think about. You just have to do that. Now, what happens if everyone's speaking about how do you actually get there? What means of transport do you take? You haven't even thought about that because it's just so obvious to you. You have to get there. You just have to do it. That's how you're going to get better. The same thing with sticking point analysis. You just have to do it. And the thing is, the reason why you want to do it is because if you don't do it, you're going to have to spend so many years trying to get good. Instead, let's rather maximize our effort. Okay, let's maximize the output by saying, okay, we're going out anyway. Let's rather get all the value from going out. Let's take everything from going out and make sure that we maximize the learnings. Okay, if you're going out anyway, and you could be doing other things, so if you're going out anyway, if you're taking action, if you're socializing, if you're speaking with women, if you're cold approaching, make sure that you get the learning lessons. Okay, and I see that lots of guys, they fail when it comes to this because they also don't really understand how to find a sticking point. Okay, so in summary, what is the summary here on sticking point analysis? You have no idea what your sticking point is. Lots of guys have no clue, okay? And it's hard to pinpoint it exactly. So you do the 10 nights out, you write your field reports, you look at the pattern, you still don't know exactly because you don't have amazing calibration, but you have a rough idea. You have a rough idea what it could be, and then you work on it from there, okay? That's what it is. It's a calculated, estimated guess, okay? A calculated guess. Calculated decision, if you will, based on the evidence in front of you. Eventually, you get better and better and understanding, okay, this is exactly where I'm failing in all my interactions. Now, what you don't want to do is go out once or twice or 3 times and think to yourself, okay, the last 3 times I've gone out, this has been the issue, that's my sticking point. No, that's not a big enough sample size. 10 sessions is a big enough sample size. Okay, you do not want such a small sample size because you may be working on something and you're getting false evidence, false data. What do I mean by this? You go out, let's say you go out 2 sessions in a row, and the first session, every girl, she basically says to you, she just gets bored in the conversation. She gets bored, she loses interest. The second time you go out, girls get bored, they lose interest. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, that's my issue. I need to have more emotional conversation, or I need to get better with hooking and attraction. That's my sticking point. But what happens if, just for some reason, it happened in those 5 or 10 interactions, but it wasn't actually the issue? The issue was that you opened wrong. You opened incorrectly, and your opening is actually flawed. Your routing is actually flawed. Okay, something to do with your opening. Now, you have to give yourself enough data to break down your sticking point. Never ever locate a sticking point or think to yourself that you found a sticking point in 3 nights out. Yes, you can potentially do 5, but I would always recommend 10. Don't even have a thought in your head of, look, this is my sticking point and this is what I need to get better at. Don't even think that. Tell yourself objectively, okay, this could be an issue, but let's see what happens after 10 sessions. Let's see the pattern. Okay, let's see if there is a pattern. If there's no pattern and you can't even understand what to pinpoint and what you should be focusing on, do another 10 nights. See if there's a pattern there. Okay, you keep going until you find some type of rough pattern, of some type of commonalities of things that you need to improve. Okay, that's how you work on it. Now, it's very important that with this sticking point analysis, it is extremely important that you're doing all these things. So let's say when you're watching the infield breakdowns, Gabriel breakdowns, the student breakdowns, you are now looking out for when I give advice on your sticking point. It's almost like you're wearing goggles, if you will. You're wearing sunglasses, where it's almost like these X-ray sunglasses where you're just looking in and zoning on a specific area. Every time I mention something to do with your sticking point, now you've got a different viewpoint. When you're watching a student breakdown, every time he does something wrong to do with your sticking point, you can see it. When you're watching a Gabriel breakdown, every time I do something right according to your sticking point, you can see it, because that's what you're looking for. You're not just watching the infield breakdowns from a perspective of, okay, let's just see the game. This is cool. This is interesting. Let's see what I can learn from this. No, you're looking at it from a perspective of, what can I learn from it in terms of zoning in and just having blinders on, and all I'm thinking about is my sticking point? Okay? When I used to even watch my own infield footage when I started out, and I used to watch here and there other people that I was learning from, my mentors, all of these things. Yes, it was cool to watch infield footage, but I was thinking of it from a perspective of, okay, my qualification is really bad. That's all I'm going to focus on when I watch this. That's it. That's everything. That's the only thing. Okay? So everything is coming down to my sticking point. When I'm out with my wingmen, all I'm going to focus on when I watch my wings is, what was my sticking point? Okay, it was this. I'm just going to look how they do it. Maybe they're doing it wrong. Maybe they're doing it right. Okay, I go back to Gabriel's theory and surgical method, and I have a better idea of how to break down what my wingman is doing in terms of that sticking point. I've watched the theory so much that even when I watch my wingman, I know what he's doing right or wrong according to my sticking point. Okay, you've got complete blinders on, and that's how you truly break past this. But let me tell you something. It doesn't happen that quickly. Some sticking points can take months to get over. Okay, they really can. It depends what the sticking point is. Others, you can get over what you've done your 10 nights out, then you give yourself a brief for the next 10 nights, and you've handled that sticking point. Okay? Don't be frustrated if some sticking points are still there after a few months. Okay, sometimes I had sticking points for 6 months, 8 months, okay, like a year, I would say. There was things that I was working on even longer than that. Okay, sometimes it wasn't just my sticking point. Sometimes it was things that I wanted to just improve drastically in my game. But it does take time. Okay, like as I keep saying, there's no magic pill. This does take time. And if you could blast through your sticking points in one night, everyone would be amazing with women. Okay, getting over your sticking point, it really separates the guys that are committed to getting good and getting this handled and the guys that aren't. Okay, because it is going to be tough. It does take time to get over a sticking point. And you'll be frustrated and you'll think to yourself, let me just go back to focusing on my strengths. Okay, that's when you're on that level, you're almost over the hump. You have to keep going. You have to keep pushing. Okay, you cannot give up. So when it comes to this, like we've got this concept which is called a plateau. What is a plateau? A plateau is basically when you're in the same point in your journey, you kind of get the same level of results. You're not getting any better. You're not getting any worse. You're at the same point. You're taking a decent amount of action, but you're just in a plateau. And ultimately what breaks you out of this plateau is analyzing and breaking down your sticking points and getting to that next level. Okay, that's what it takes. Basically, this journey, if you want to look at it from a different perspective, you've got 10,000 sticking points. You need to get over them one by one. That's what this journey is. Getting over each sticking point one by one. Some of them could be inner game, some of them outer game. Okay? All of these types of things, inner game issues, inner game sticking points, self-image, ego, all of these things that are discussed in inner game. That could take, guys, year, 1 year, more, 6 months, whatever it is. Okay? It's shorter. Outer game issues, whatever your sticking point is, could take long. Okay, there's so many issues, but let me tell you, there's 10,000 sticking points. Okay, it's a rough number, but let's just use that number for example. It's 10,000 sticking points. You're 10,000 sticking points away from mastery. Okay, if that's something that you wanted to get to, and also whatever your goal is. To get a girlfriend, to have many sexual experiences. You're going to have to handle sticking points to be able to get to the skill level, to be able to make this all happen. Okay, to meet the girl of your dreams. You're going to have to get over sticking points, inner game sticking points, outer game sticking points. It has to happen, so let's do this properly. Okay, this is the sticking point analysis audio. Hope you enjoyed it. Go back and re-listen and understand everything that I've spoken about. Re-listen to this a few times, but this is extremely important. I will catch you in the next video.